Welcome to self-discoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Ignite Your Heart and Soul right here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. I am your host, Sarah Troy. My wonderful guest today, all the way from New York, is Margie Goldsmith. Becoming a badass from fearful to fierce. I love it. That's exactly what we need to be. She says in her memoir, Becoming a Badass from Fearful to Fierce, is a testament to adage, no one is going to make your life for you. Her story is one of adventure and resilience. It's about living life on your terms and living it fearlessly. She speaks to anyone looking to overcome a sense of powerlessness in any given situation, whether that's a dysfunctional family, a marriage relationship, or a career, or to anyone that has felt less than. Coming from a family marked by deep struggles, her father's suicide, incest, sister battling schizophrenia, parents coping with manic depression and alcoholism, her early life shaped much of who she was to become. After college, she moved to Paris, where she lived the glamorous life and married a blacklisted film director. Her passion for travel soon blossomed, leading her to become the travel writer who explored 152 countries and 7 continents, from Uganda all the way to Antarctica. The outboard program was also transformed her path, fueling her love for physical challenges. She has completed marathons, Olympic district triathlons, wow, summited Mount Rainier and climbed to the advanced base camp of the north face of Mount Everest. According to music, to her adventures, she learned to play harmonica and even recorded 2 albums with America's award-winning blues band. Her resilience shines through her survival of stage 4 pancreatic cancer and later lung cancer, proving again and again her extraordinary sense and a will to live fully. Wow, my darling. Wow.
We do what we can, Sarah.
We do. And I think, it's there's this beautiful word called flawsome, and you are beautifully flawsome. Then things happen to you that have caused cracks in your life, right? But you have lovingly put yourself back together and made those cracks something that has filled you up with love of life and appreciation for life, and just let it spilled over. And that's the illumination. Um, I just love the whole chutzpahs of, okay, you can knock me down, but I'm like one of those, air dummy things. You knock it down and it comes
Yeah,
back up again, even though it might be harder to get up now and again, huh?
exactly.
I love all this journey that you've done, and just looking at the, from where you've come from. um you know and that in itself could cripple people. The incest, the suicide, everything that went on there, the alcoholism. What a lot of people don't know is that back in the day, that was fairly norm in life. Alcoholism, especially incest, so much more than we ever looked at. Suicide, because people didn't have the help they needed in order to navigate through life. And although we don't talk about it much, if you look back, it kind of happened a lot, but it was always brushed under the carpet. But
Yeah,
it really does mold you, doesn't it, into becoming either a survivor or becoming a victim.
exactly. Exactly. And I chose to be a survivor because I'd
Mm.
seen too many victims, and
Yeah.
their life is just over in their 20s and 30s. They have nothing to live for, they have no hope. They're damaged goods and
Mm.
they never recover from it. So you have to fight like hell to get back in there and play the game. But I didn't like the other alternative of giving up. So I went in the other direction.
And
And
that is a choice. That is a choice, right?
definitely, definitely. I mean, I'm sure you know a lot of people when you ask them how they are, they say, oh well, my leg hurts and my arm hurts and they talk to you for 5 minutes about their health, which you didn't want to hear. You just want
You're
to know
right.
how they are. And those people are the ones who have given in to the poor me syndrome.
Yeah.
And I'd seen too much of that around me, and I didn't want that to be me. So I think what helped me make this great escape was after I graduated from college, I left for Europe on a charter flight. It was $200 round trip from the university.
God, those were the days.
And oh, yes, oh, yes. And you were supposed to leave May 5th and come back at the end of August, and I would go on to grad school. And I was free. I was in Europe. I
Mm.
didn't have a parent telling me what to do.
Yes,
But
yes.
I hated Paris because I
Ah.
got there. It was cold. It was dark all the time. It was gray. It was raining. I went into Notre Dame. I couldn't even see the stained glass windows because they were covered in rain and darkness. And I was very lonely, and I didn't know what was the big deal about Paris. So I left Paris after burying myself in the Michelin guidebook, probably not seen anything. Look, and this is this, and this is this. Look up, on to the next. It was kind of like you do the inside, I'll do the outside. I just felt that's what you're supposed to do. And then I went to London and I went to Florence and I went to Greece and I came back. It was the end of the summer. I was in Nice taking a train back up towards Paris to catch the plane to go home. And I thought, what is the matter with you? You are the problem, not
Mm,
Paris.
mm.
Everyone loves Paris. They love the beauty, they love the books, they love the songs, they love the poems. Get a life.
Yes,
You better
change that
not go
attitude.
home.
Yeah.
Yes, you better not go home until you learn what it is about Paris that attracts so many of the great creative
Mm.
people. So I stayed. I learned pretty quickly, but to get there, I was on the train to catch the airplane back. There's a 12-year-old girl sitting with her mother opposite me, and I said, "Are you going to New York tomorrow?" And she said, "Yes." I said, "Do me a favor, call up my mother and read her this note." In those days, you didn't make long distance phone calls because they cost so much money.
Yes.
So I wrote a note saying, "Dear Mom, I've decided to stay in Paris, blah, blah, blah." The phone rings. She knew the hotel I was staying in that night. She goes, "What do you mean you're not coming back?" I said, "I'm staying in Paris." She goes, "Are you pregnant?" I said, "No." "Are you in trouble?" "No." "Then why on earth are you staying in Paris?" "Because I want to, and
Wow, what a concept.
that was that was breaking all the parental strings. My father by that time was already dead, so it was just my mother and my grandmother, who was a very, very strong woman. And I stayed. It changed my life. I no longer had to listen to them. I could
Mm.
find my own values, my own peace of mind, my own spirituality. Just walking down any street in
Yes.
Paris is the spiritual experience because it's so beautiful. And I think that's what saved me was getting away from a
Mm.
dysfunctional, destructive family to be able to come onto my own. And even though I knew nothing, I
Mm.
was so innocent. I learned. I found mentors and began to learn what life meant, what I wanted, what I could accomplish, what I couldn't. So,
You had the
eh,
exploratory nature.
yes, yes, I
I'm going to
think so.
share just a little story about Paris, 1975. I am staying in an apartment just off the Champs-Élysées with my brother's ex-girlfriend, and she managed this doctor's office, which she got the apartment free, just a few hours a week, opening it up for patients. And we were right off the Champs-Élysées. And so we went to Montmartre by the steps there. And she was an artist. And so she's kind of drawing. And then somebody came up and started playing kind of the drums and the beat. And I just got up and started dancing. It was a total free spirit
Uh,
at that time. And as I'm busy dancing, other people are coming up with instruments and started playing along to the beat. And I'm just dancing. And she captured it all in kind
uh,
of a crayon type drawing. And they were chanting my name. And then, just like a
uh,
movie, we all got up and started going into the Montmartre, people going into restaurants and going here, going there, all humming and singing. And it was an
uh,
experience I will never forget for the rest of my life. It was just so divine in
I
that
love
moment.
that. I
Mm.
love that. Did she sketch it?
Yes, I have it
And do you
somewhere.
have it? Oh,
Yes,
what a wonderful memory.
exactly. And I think that's, when we look for perfection in life, we're never going to have it, but we do have those perfect moments. And those perfect moments just light us up completely. And they kind of, they're the icing, they're the cherry on top of the cake, right? And it's something you hold on to because that's the gift of a memory. You remember the joy, you remember the exuberance of it, and it fuels you, right? It's like
A-
it's not having to always get back up there. You can get back up there just by the memory.
And those memories, which weren't planned,
Yes,
they just happened, and
yes,
that makes them even more special.
yes,
It's, yeah. I think that those are those moments in life which sustain me. The unexpected, always
yes.
the unexpected, because you weren't afraid to get up there and dance.
Exactly. I was such a free spirit. It was a no-brainer for me. Nowadays, very different. But back then, now it would be the aches and pains. Can I do it? But yeah, and I think that was, for me was my dad died, but natural causes at 45 of heart disease, and my mum and I went to South Africa. And went over as a teenager and a radically different life. And then it was me, kind of the shy, sickly girl who was petrified to speak to people. And always had people coming to her because I was always very spiritual. And then suddenly thrown into a world where it was all about immersing yourself into life, and scary but illuminating, and just stimulating, and it brought me out of myself. So I totally relate to coming from that suppression and dictation and expectation, going into the liberation of your path is your choice.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes. I,
Exciting. What
yeah.
era were you in Paris?
I was there from 1965 to 1969, which included the days of May with Daniel Cohn-Bendit, the revolutionary students, the workers joined, everyone was trying to bring
Mm.
down the government. And it was very exciting. But by that time, I had married a film director who was an expat. He'd been blacklisted by McCarthy. He was 27 years older than me. And all I wanted to do was go to the barricades because that's where the excitement was. And he said, no, 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 we're not going there. It's dangerous. And I remember being so angry. And the next day, you'd see all these pictures
Mm.
of bloodied students.
Yeah.
They'd be beaten.
Yes.
So, I mean, he was right for us not to go. But it was an extremely exciting time for me, coming of age, as it were,
Mm.
and learning from this master who not only had the ideals, but he had trained as a director under Orson Welles.
My God.
That had been
Yes.
his mentor. He was 23 years old when he met
Mm.
him. So when he went to make a movie and I became his assistant, it was like learning from the master. And then
Yes.
Orson Welles had a wonderful photographer who would say, always have something in the foreground and shoot through it to get to the action. It makes the shot
Mm.
much more exciting. So I learned everything about film from him, which was
And
very good.
like the back in the moment, right? Back in the learning on the spot. For me, that's always been the best way, throwing myself into something. I have no idea what I'm doing, but learning as I go by paying attention and just, delving into it. And I think that connection to that type of thing is just so much. You don't have time to kind of externally think, right? Because you're so
Exactly.
present in that moment of learning and becoming and immersing yourself into something. I think those are the greatest lessons.
And the problem is, most people will not allow themselves to
Hmm.
go through that process because they don't want to fail. And my
Right.
feeling is it's better to try something and fail at it because at least you did it than
Yes.
doing nothing at all.
Yeah.
Sorry, my
Failure
throat.
is, no, don't worry. Failure is give up. Failure
Mhm.
is sit down. I'm not going to get back up. Right. I just call them redirects. Every time something doesn't work, it's a redirect. Right. And that is
Yes,
the thing. It didn't work. Okay. So what are you going to do now? To make, if this didn't work, what else is there for you? But I mean, we can have a grieving moment when something doesn't work, right? We need that. It's come to an end of a chapter, end of an expectation. um, we need to let it go, but then we need to be willing, in a wondrous manner, open up a door to, okay, that's come to an end, what else is there?
Exactly. Exactly. I agree. And my life has been like that.
Mm,
Every time something comes to an end, I take the next step up in the next building on the next ladder
yeah.
and see what else is out there. I mean, you and I are of an age that we're no longer waiting between Thanksgiving and Christmas, which used to
Right.
seem light years away. Now it's like 2 days away. But most people think they have all the time in the world because
Yeah.
there is that much time between Thanksgiving and Christmas in the beginning. Now, for
Especially
me,
in
I go from
Canada, because we're October for our Thanksgiving.
exactly, exactly. So I go from Monday to Thursday. What happened to those days? It's already
Yes.
Thursday. And so many people think, okay, I'll do that tomorrow. I'll do that some other time. Maybe I'll do that someday.
You're
And
right.
they never do anything
No.
because all they do is procrastinate, really, because they're afraid of trying something new because they're afraid they'll fail at it. Somewhere they had to get some message, you can't do that. You're not good enough for that. And don't even try it. I could never
Yeah.
do that. Why can you do that? And they
Yeah.
listen to those messages because that's all we have is our parents as mentors when we're growing up.
Mm.
So that forms your whole existence. But you can break out of that and go on
Yes.
your own path. And I wish
Yes.
more people would. That
Mm.
we'd have a lot more happy people.
We would. People are living really in the now, which is the gift of the moment. The thing I call that societal expectation and dictation. You know, uh, you're only a success if, right? You look a certain way, you have a certain house, you drive a certain car, you have a certain money, you're associated with certain people. I call it the housewives of whatever syndrome,
Right.
right? And it's everybody's trying to outdo each other and they're losing each other while they're doing it. Because where is the authenticity? Where's the core of them? Where's the essence of them? They're so busy trying to one up each other that they completely lose themselves. And it's
So
it's not the outside life, it's the inside life.
so
Enjoying
you have
life from
that
the inside out.
you have that in Canada as well. I thought it was an American trait.
It is. They did have a Canadian show once. I don't think it's come back, but obviously it's shown here. And for me, as I look at it as exploiting train wrecks, right? And it's um, where do we see a show on people facing challenges and getting through them, and the community being there to support them and lift them up and show them another path and give them the nurturing they need, and then them becoming the light for someone else? Where do we see those shows? We seem to relish in train wrecks, in chaos, because somehow it justifies your own chaos, or it go, oh, well, my chaos isn't as bad as theirs. I can
Right.
live with that. And it's like, you don't need, if the chaos we want is one that brings about order and common sense, but we don't need chaos that derails us.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's unfortunately what our modern times have
Mm,
foisted upon us, as it were,
yeah,
which is a
exactly.
pity. Which is a pity. What I try to do is get people to go for things that terrify them. I mean,
Hmm.
Eleanor Roosevelt said, do one thing a day that scares you.
Yeah.
um, I try to do one thing at least a month that really terrifies me because each time you do something that you're so afraid of and you get through it,
Yeah.
you just have this blossoming effect. It's like a spiritual awakening. You
Yes.
think, what? I did that? And then you
Uh-huh.
say, if I could do that, I can do anything. And
Yes.
so that's the way I look at life. There were many years I spent in my little earth covered shell, unable to function because I was so afraid of failing at everything or not being able to do something because the messages I had been given were,
Mm.
you can't possibly do that. Or who do
Yes.
you think you are?
Ha ha. I love that one. Yeah. For me, I was quote uneducated because I was a sickly child, so I didn't finish school, and so it was always pointing out that I didn't have any education, and that being the be all and the end all. In fact, in that selfish book that I contributed a chapter to was about that, and it's like, but no, I've got universal wisdom that guides me. That
Right,
tells me what I need to know when I need to know it. And the academics, although it's definitely needed in very many areas, I think there's so much emphasis on it and not enough on our intuitive knowingness. And I think,
exactly.
you stayed in Paris because you got the message. You got the
Yes,
message that you arrived and everything was gray and dull and what's it all about? And by the time you came back, you started seeing the light. You start seeing how it shone through. And it's all, I call it, the difference between lackitude and gratitude. When you look at
I
something
like
from a
that.
lack point of view, you're never going to see the sunshine. When you look at it from gratitude, you see the rays of light, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what
Other
I've been
choice.
doing since,
Hmm.
hopefully. It's all choice. Exactly.
Yes.
It's all
Yeah.
choice.
I mean,
What?
that's not to say that you haven't had other obstacles along the way, like cancer and all those type of things. So, it's, people think, well, she's living in la la land. Well, no, it's you've had your own knockdowns,
Yes,
right?
I earned where I am today. I mean, I never in a million years expected going into the hospital and they said, well, you've got a stent in your pancreas, we got to fix it. Then it got worse. I had to come back. They fixed it again. And then they said, you're going to need a Whipple. And I said, what? I'm thinking that's what nuns wore on their head, but that's a wimple. A Whipple, a Whipple is an operation. It's a 6-hour operation. They cut almost every organ in your lower body and stitch them all back together to remove the head of the pancreas, which was having its little cancer moment there. So they decided to get it out. And everybody in the ward in the hospital, they were all in
Yeah.
bed, driving me crazy. Me too. I'm sure I was whining and crying, but I would get up and just walk laps because
Yeah.
that's the way you get better by movement.
Right.
Move a muscle, change a thought. So I kept doing my little laps. I recovered in 6 weeks. I went back to marathons, triathlons, everything I'd been doing. Life was fine. And then a year after that, again, my stomach hurt horribly. I go to the hospital and they go, well, you have another little nodule there. And we really think if we just took out your pancreas, then you wouldn't have this problem ever again. I said, what a good idea. Just take it out. And they said, well, that's going to turn you into a type 1 diabetic. I had no idea what that meant. I mean, I knew people stuck needles in
Yeah.
themselves and took their blood sugar, but I didn't know what it involved. But I said, fine, just do it. Suddenly I wake up, they're sticking needles in me. I go, what are you doing? They go, we're shooting insulin in you. I go, what for? They said, but they told you you'd be a diabetic. No idea. So I recovered from that. Same thing, walked the laps. Then a year after that, and I play blues harmonica, so I
Mm.
need my
Yes.
lungs. They discovered a nodule in my lung and they said, we don't know if it's cancerous. We can let it grow and see what happens. We can biopsy it or we could take it out. And I thought, well, I'm certainly not going to let it grow and see what
Right.
happens.
Exactly.
And
This
what's
is
the
an
point of
invader here. Get rid of it.
right. What's the point of doing a biopsy if you're going to cut into it? Take
Yeah.
it out. So they took it out. That was the worst ward of all. People were coughing and choking. I mean, you just couldn't wait to get out of there. So I had my harmonica with me. And you're supposed to be blowing on this spirulator to get air in your lungs. And I thought it was disgusting. I found a little lounge. There were no visitors in it and I start playing my harmonica and I'm playing a little blues with my eyes closed.
Hmm.
And suddenly a voice says, would you like to jam? And I open my eyes and there's this gorgeous Italian music therapy teacher with a guitar. I said, hell yes, let's jam. So we played and suddenly outside the door, all the nurses and doctors are clapping.
Hmm.
It was a moment of triumph. I felt like Stevie Wonder in that
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
Even
And
though,
just look how much joy and uplifting and we already know music is a healer, right?
yes.
It's a wonderful healer. Um, and it brings about an equilibrium in ourselves. It rebalances ourselves. And to play that where the nurses and the doctors that are always, it's a hard job, right?
Yes.
For a moment, you took them somewhere else, right? And I'm sure the music was heard by the patients as well. You're
Yeah.
kind of resetting everyone,
Yeah.
right? And it lingers. You've raised everybody up a few vibrations, and it lingers, and it's like a warm blanket and a warm embrace. But you did it for you, and it ended up doing it for everyone. And I think if more and more people stepped up and I'm going to do this for me, you will actually see how much it benefits the people around you when you
I
step into your
completely
own divine
agree.
essence.
I completely agree. Now, when I go to third world countries, I get Honer, who's a maker of harmonicas, to send me 30 harmonicas. And I
Mm,
always ask the guy, take me to a fourth grade class, because that's when they're 8 or 9, they can
yeah.
really learn. I pass out the harmonicas. I teach them how to blow in and blow out, and we have a wonderful time. And then I
Mm,
leave. Once I was in Uganda doing a story on the Batwa pygmies, and I had just given them all their harmonicas in a lesson. They were all excited. Everybody ran back to their tribes. The next morning, we're getting up to leave, and I brought my suitcase out to the van, and I hear this harmonica somewhere in the distance. So I walk through the path, and here's this little boy playing a little pink harmonica I'd given him yesterday. It was so moving. I mean, it made my day. It was
the gift
lovely.
that keeps on giving.
Yes,
Because, whether it just became, da, 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 or whether it became an expression of their voice, expression of their soul, right? You've given them an instrument that they can just put in their pocket. It wasn't so big and
exactly.
cumbersome. And it's something that, they can either learn or they can just allow themselves to explore what this instrument and themselves is all about. And imagine their
Exactly.
lives change from that. That simple thing.
Yeah, it's amazing. It'd be
Mm,
interesting if one grew up the rest of his life playing harmonica and then teaching it. But music is a universal language. You
yes.
don't need words. And
No.
I think I finally had decided, because I was in Turkey and all these little kids are laughing at me. And only because I looked so different with the blonde hair, and
Mhm.
they're all dark and they're wearing different clothes. And I thought, I need something so I can communicate with these kids other than learn to say merhaba, which is hello in Turkish. It's not enough. So I
No.
thought, well, music
Mm,
is the answer, because then I don't need words. But what can I bring on these travels? Because
mhm.
you're schlepping enough stuff.
Yes.
You can't bring a guitar, it's too big.
Mhm.
A harmonica, it
Mhm.
fits in your pocket. So
Exactly.
that was how it got started.
How
And
did it get started for you playing it? The why the harmonica?
well, this is a very funny story. 40 years ago, when I was reading Rolling Stone magazine, there was an ad and it said, learn to play blues harmonica, $7.95, plus a free harmonica. So
Wow.
I buy the book, I look at it, I don't understand a word. Blow in, blow out, blow up. What is he talking about? But I noticed that the author was in San Diego. And I had to go to San Diego the next week because I had a film production company. We always shot in the nice warm places in
Yeah.
the winter. So I called him up. By that time, we were using phones. And I
Mm,
said, can I come take a lesson from you in person? And he said, of course. So I came. I just fell in love with the instrument. It was
mm,
wonderful. I came back. I tried the little riff he taught me. After 5 minutes, I'd forgotten it. That was the end of the harmonica. 35 years later, I'm going through some old notes and I see I have mimeographed or Xeroxed this ad, learn to play blues harmonica. Now we have the internet. So
mhm.
I Google the guy and it says, Mississippi Delta, come to my blues harmonica jam camp, beginners welcome. I call him up. I go, John, do you remember me? He says, of course I remember you. Come to my jam camp. So I went. I'd never been to the deep South where there was
Mm.
cotton all over the places. I drove the roads. It was the fall. It was perfect. Learned how to play after a week. And then I thought, well, now what am I going to do? Camp's over. Who am I going to play with in New York? And one of the people at the camp was Australian, and she said, oh, I know a fabulous teacher in Wales. Well, with Zoom, you could do anything. So I
Yes.
take from him once a week, still 11 years later. And
And also the inspiration on your travels of taking it and giving it to other kids, passing the joy on, right? And
yeah,
again, one size doesn't fit all. Some would discard it, and it will be their expression, but they wouldn't have had the opportunity to even know or explore had it not been for you, right? So that's the thing, we have to look at, we are the gift. We need to share that
right,
gift, right? And it's how can we share who we are, the essence how we are, in what way that's going to lift others up, give them a higher frequency of vibration of consciousness that they can travel that path. And you never know how it's going to happen. But like a simple thing like a harmonica, as you said, that one guy, it became something for him. And
Exactly.
you may have one sibling, oh, I don't want it, but another sibling picks it up and goes, this is them, right?
Yes. Yes, exactly. It's it's always about music for me
Yeah.
because I was trekking in Bhutan on an outward bound trip, and I'm in the middle. They're the fast alpha men who have to beat everybody. They're the slow people in the back who just kind of wander along. And then there's me. I keep a nice little steady
Rhythm.
pace. Yeah, but I'm happy looking around.
Mm.
And suddenly, out of nowhere, this whole school field trip of children who were
Mm.
between 6 and 8, I'd say, all wearing uniforms in the middle of nowhere, come running up to me and they're tugging on my clothes and they play a song for me in Bhutanese. Now let's see if you recognize the tune. Da 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 da. Does that sound
Da,
familiar?
da, 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 da,
Do
da,
your
da, da,
it's
da.
do your ears hang low? Do they wobble to it? So they didn't know the words. They're singing different words. So I sing it to them in English with the movements. Now
Mhm.
they're doing it in Bhutanese with the movements. And there was such connection. So
Yes.
five of them take my hand. They we're holding my hand on the trail. They're holding on all the way to the campsite when the guide finally told them they had to go because it was dinner time. But what a moment
I
meeting
know.
these kids in the middle of nowhere and being
For
able to
for all of you. I
share.
mean, those are those beautiful spontaneous moments
Yeah,
that really kind of clarify life. Right? It's everybody's looking for the big deal, the big this, the big that. While you're busy chasing something, you're actually missing the moments that serendipitous is waiting for you to connect, right?
exactly.
Be aware,
Exactly.
be aware, allow, because when you allow and you're aware and you're tuned in, that frequency is already going out. Those good vibrations are already going out. And the people that pick it up, they will come towards it.
Yes. True. True. So,
What a wonderful experiences. And children, I'm just about to have literally within a week to 10 days my third grandson, right? And, waited a long time to become a grandmother. And just having these children, and it's so different from being a mother. I mean, my daughter said to me, Mum, how did you manage it with three? Because I didn't have really a hands-on husband. Um, and I said, I don't know. I remember certain little things, moments, etc., but the day to day, I couldn't tell you. You were just in automation, right? And
right.
then, but with a grandchild, I'm not responsible for their life for the rest of their lives, right? I can
Exactly.
I can enjoy those moments. And one of the things is music. And my second grandchild has Down syndrome. But when he hears music, this little kid is a goner. And he loves the music teacher comes around every 2 weeks and she has these little bongo drums. He is playing those bongo drums and just
Uh,
going for it, right? He does boogie, boogie, boogie. That is his language. Absolutely. And if you want to calm him down, you sing Wheels on the Bus, right? Because the music is it's his expression. Will it be always? I don't know. I kind of hope so. But
why did you why didn't you get him a toy harmonica?
yeah, I suppose he's 2.5. Do you think he's too young?
I gave my then now ex grandchild who was 2, and they just blow in and blow out, and they love
Right.
it.
Well, my daughter's buying him a little bongo drum for Christmas, but maybe, yes, I should look at a little harmonica
Yeah,
for him, whether he goes to it now or not. But it also, I mean, lungs get compromised with them, so it would probably be something that would strengthen their lungs. So, yeah, good
exactly.
idea. And good
For the
idea.
same way I use the harmonica instead of the spiralator to
Hmm.
breathe through.
Hmm.
Yeah. And
Exactly.
he'll either love it or hate it or put it away for another time.
Right, exactly. There's three kids,
Yeah,
one of them will pick it up, right? But I
absolutely.
think once he kind of realizes music or sound comes out of it, I think then that will be something he'll connect to. He may not
Yeah,
connect to it straight away, but that's a good idea. Thank you. Yes, that's one Christmas
certainly.
present for him. Because I'm always
And
buying books.
in case it's too advanced, you can get him a kazoo because
Right.
then you make your own sound. I think. See, it's just a little plasticky thing
Hmm.
which you blow through and make your own tune. It's
Right.
easier than a harmonica because a
Yes. A
harmonica
harmonica may become a bit later.
has notes, so you've
Yes.
got to. But that's meditative and relaxing just
Right,
to
yes.
blow in and out.
Mm.
So,
I think it's actually even a good thing for them to have, like when they get upset or
oh,
frustrated.
definitely.
Let's just blow in here and blow some noises out, right? And kind of giving them
Exactly.
that of a way of, because it's always about take a breath. And this is like, yeah, blow into it. Let what sound can we make, right? So, yeah,
Exactly.
so
And there's
definitely.
another thing. When I went to this wellness retreat to do a story on it in Tuscany called Datu Wellness, they said every morning, take a balloon and blow it up and let it out.
Mhm.
So that's another good trick.
As an asthmatic, I wish I'd known about these things earlier because then I could have strengthened my lungs. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Yes.
And there, yeah, there is always something, isn't there? On all of your travels, I mean, obviously, anything to do with the kids and the harmonicas has definitely stayed in your heart. But have there been any stories that you've covered? Has there been anything, a place that you've been to that will be with you forever, one way or the
Well,
other?
for me, it's never the place that's with me forever, except for the karsks in Guilin, China, which rise up like fog shrouded, mystical, like witches' hats out of the
Mm.
distance. And some of that outstanding New Zealand scenery. For
Mhm.
me, it's the people that
Mhm.
always stand out. So in Morocco, I mean, it's a crazy country with the souk and you're bombarded. It's like being in India. And then you go to the mountains, the Atli Mountains, and it's so quiet and peaceful. But I was training for a marathon and we were staying at a Richard Branson resort in the mountains on top of a hill. So the only place to run was to run all the way down to the end of the mountain, which was a good kilometer and a half long, and then to run all the way back up. So I was being laughed at and whistled at by trucks full of men coming home from work because I was wearing a t-shirt and shorts and sneakers. And I noticed there were some women on the side of the road just looking at me, and I figured they disapproved.
Mhm.
So now I'm coming back up the hill, and two of those women wearing their little slippers, those little
Mhm.
funny they grab my hands and they're running with me up the hill. They want to be part of the running. And we're screaming and laughing at the top of our lungs. And they don't stop. They keep going and going. And we get to the top of the hill and there's a particular Arabic cry. They go, I can't do
Mhm.
it. You see it in the movies all the time. And they were so happy. And we were doubled over in laughter because it was so joyous.
Spontaneous and
And they'll
spontaneous.
remember that moment, and so will
Ah,
I. And
yeah,
women in Morocco don't run. So it
right.
was
So that
especially
was that
something.
freedom that you gave them to run, that
Yeah.
liberation, right? Yeah,
And then
yeah.
in Tibet, I was trekking in Tibet. Again, I was on my own because I'm in between the fast and the slow. And there were these two women, with all the coral yarn in their hair, the orange and the coral, which is their colors. They braid it through their hair, and they were lighting sassafras, which they do early in the morning as a ritual. And I'm walking by and they go, so I came over and they gave me some sassafras and we lit the sassafras and we just held hands silently. But there was so much power
Yeah.
in that moment, so much spirituality. I mean, how can there not be? You're in Tibet,
Yes,
but
exactly.
it was another extraordinary. It's always the people that,
Yes, yes. One thing I loved when I traveled, yes, I went to see all the places, etc. But for me, my favorite would be sitting at a cafe outside, favorite pastry, espresso coffee or blood orange, and just get to know, people watching and then get to know the people next to you. And I'd be invited into people's homes, and,
uh,
just kind of meeting the local people, and which was absolutely wonderful and how wonderfully friendly. For me, Mediterranean countries, Italy, absolutely love Spain and Greece were my favorites when I was traveling Europe. And because everything was about it was so welcoming and so warm and so vital and so much about enjoying life, which I absolutely loved. For me, that was my nectar. And countries that were kind of very restrictive and rules and regulations is something that kind of gave me hives. So I had to go to countries that lived it and seized the day, Carpe Diem. So really, really important. So you were, covering lifestyles, things like this, but the amount of countries that you've been to, all these different types of lifestyles. How did it rub off on you? And is there any one particular lifestyle that you came across that you thought, I really wouldn't mind living this?
I found the poorer the country, the more I liked the lifestyle
Yeah.
because they had so little, but they were so
Yes.
joyous and they
They're
did
so
so
rich.
much with the things they didn't have.
Yes.
The kids would be outside playing marbles with stones, with pebbles. They didn't have any money for toys. So and I realized, you can make a happy life. You don't have to have all those materialistic trappings or the right clothes
Right.
or any of that stuff. That which we talked about earlier.
Mm,
And I've learned a lot about humility from
mm,
watching these people. And I think I've learned a lot more patience for
mm,
people who are less healthy than me. Maybe 10 years ago, you'd find someone being rolled in a wheelchair, and I'd think, don't take up the whole sidewalk. Come on, I'm in a hurry. I got to get past. And now I wouldn't think of doing that. I'd think,
right.
there, but for the grace of God
Grace.
go I. So
Yes.
it's changed my whole outlook on life, which is hard to do in this country
Mm,
unless you're at a spiritual retreat or a
yes.
wellness retreat because they don't practice those principles.
No.
Whereas, I mean, the one I went to in Tuscany called Datu Wellness, it's you get in, you go in there, they take your clothes, they put you in a curtain. There are two curtains, so when one gets dirty, they take it away, wash it. You've got the other one. They give you a poncho. They give you those beads. I never knew what they're called, mala beads or something. I guess people meditate on them.
Hmm.
And you do yoga, you do
Hmm.
meditation, you sit and look at the beautiful scenery, and it's a spiritual experience.
Hmm.
I always feel better when I come back. That's where I got the balloon thing from
Hmm.
them. They said blow up a balloon every day. You don't get it when you go to a big city
Hmm.
like Vancouver or Boston or
Hmm.
New Orleans or Washington, D.C. It's you're gonna get run around, see
Yeah.
this, see that, do that. But it's the country which appeals to me, as in not my country right
Yes.
now. I have a lot of problems with my country,
Oh,
as we all do.
yes.
I
Yes.
hope it's still here. And but it's being in the country and listening to the wind rustle
Mm,
the trees and
mm,
smelling fresh cut grass and
yes.
seeing flower blooms. I mean, that's
Uh,
what's real. All the
yes.
rest of it is just phony materialism. Who's going to make more money? Who's going to be invited to the better party? Who cares? Who's got the
And
better
who's going
car?
to be more neurotic because they're not invited to this party and then get on to this drug and that drug? And it's like, no, there is no life in the outside life. Everything is an
Exactly.
inside life. And, I live in an area where I actually have trees all around me. For me, trees, breeze, and water
Yeah.
are necessary. So I have a beautiful monkey puzzle tree right outside my window, which I absolutely love. I am less than a kilometer from the ocean. We have a great deal of breeze and wind here, which I absolutely love. So the wind clears the cobwebs away. It just takes everything with it. The rustle of the leaves are always talking to you if we pay attention. And the
Yes.
water is such a beautiful conduit, whether it's rainwater, ocean water, river water, it speaks to your very soul. And I think if we could get out into nature and be more connected. Now, I'm a universal kid, so I work more with the cosmos. I had a really hard time connecting with Earth and Earthlings because of the cruel nature, the meanness. I just couldn't take it. But I've learned now through the work and the years of my own self discovery of becoming a partnership with both, being the being human and the human being, and realizing what a gift it is as a spiritual being to have the human experience, right? Because you feel it and see it despite the pain, despite whatever discomfort you're in, the experience that you have of being able to see, to touch, to feel. to hold, which the spirit holds in a different way. That experience of bringing your spirit through the body and holding something and embracing something is just so utterly divine. If as long as it's on that right frequency and that right vibration. And
Right.
yes, America is most certainly in trouble right now. I speak a great deal about that. I was invited to come to America and I said no, because I know I'll be arrested at the border.
Right.
Because I'm a little outspoken about what's going on right now, the lack of humanity. And I think, the universe gave me a saying 8 years ago: I'm going to shake you up to wake you up, for you to
I
step
like
up
that.
and
I like
change it
that.
up and grow up vibrationally to a higher consciousness, but also grow up. You're whining about your lackitude, but are you feeding your gratitude? Right? If we look at what we're grateful for and all that this planet gives us, all that we're capable of doing, all the people around us that are there to support us when we're on the right path, we are already so abundant. We're already so enriched, just like the poor people you came across. They're so grateful for what they do have. And they're a
Exactly.
community that supports each other. It's not about I, me, myself. It's about
Exactly.
us, the we, the collective. They're so enriched and abundant in heart, soul, and spirit. And, yes, everybody needs more money. But when the money becomes so much that you now become powerful, and it's all about control, or the fear of losing your money, or fear of losing your title and this and that, you lose yourself. Where is the soul connection? So I'm all for people making money, but it's then you have made money, what are you going to do to seed possibilities and opportunities for other people?
Right. It's so true. Husband number two was a corporate lawyer. So he was like a lawyer to the celebrities, to the
Mm,
stars, to the CEOs, and we'd have to go out to dinner. They wanted a psychiatrist. That's why we had to have so many dinners. That's what they wanted in a
yeah.
lawyer. But all those men, they were all striving to make their first 10 million. I said, well, are you going to quit after your first 10 million? Oh no, then I have to get my second 10 million. They're never going to stop. They
And they're never
throw
going
out
to
a
be
number.
fulfilled. Yeah.
No, never, never, never.
Yeah.
And they're always in danger of being fired unless
Mm,
it's not a public company. So
yeah.
they live their lives in fear. Who's going to take over next?
Yeah.
It's really
It's no
sad.
life. I've
No.
interviewed so many people, men and women, through the years, because I've been doing this 13 years, who have come from the corporate, come from the top of the top. And then the cosmic 2x4 came along, right? Whether it was illness or something that happened that became their redirect. And they ended up going down a path. I just spoke with a gentleman today. He lost his first wife, became a widow, and he's had 2 heart attacks. And
Uh,
he's now retired, and everything that he's doing is kind of similar to what I'm doing. He's starting on his journey to bring in podcasts, people who have those triumphant stories, those wonderful stories of I rose above, I have become, I'm in my essence. And he truly understands that's where the enrichment is. Right? It doesn't, yes, you need money, got the roof over the head, food in the stomach, and Lord knows with all these tariffs, we all need a little extra money right now, right? Um, but it's the balance. Make enough to sustain you and allow those little extras, but don't let it define you. The definition of you is the essence of you from the inside out, the core of you, the integrity of your heart, your soul, your spirit. And that is what you exude out. And that's really where your abundance lies. The more you immerse in
right.
that, the more you have to give. And I think we're in that kind of transition right now where, there's been so much emphasis on the billionaires and the power, and exactly how corrupt
Mm,
and deformed they become because of it. And it's invited the people from the heart, from the soul, from their spirit to stand up for the against the inequality and to stand up from those that are being abused and downtrodden. And we always need a crisis to do that. Right. So the crisis is here for a reason. It's the shake up, to wake up, to the invitation is to step up and change it up. And that goes for us in our own individual lives. We've
yeah.
got to do it in our own lives. And again, stop lackituding and start gratituding, and and share your gratitude, share your joy of life, which is what you're doing. right? You're out there
Yeah.
sharing your exuberance.
There are so many people who are so stuck. It's
Hmm.
like they're just stuck in place and they don't know what to do. And I always tell them, get a yellow pad and draw a line down it and put down what's going to make you happy. What
Yes.
is it that you really want to do? And then take on the other column and say, what's stopping you from doing that?
Hmm.
And it works a lot of times because people don't take the time to think things through. They
That's
just
it.
get stuck in their little rut. Oh, I
Right.
can't do this. Oh, I'll
Hmm.
never be able to do this. Or someday I'll do this. And none of them do. And
Right.
that's why we have so many unhappy people out there.
Yeah.
And if they give a little more and take a little less, I think
Yeah.
we'd be a much happier
I have the column
civilization.
thing as well. It's everything that you don't like, everything that makes you miserable, and everything you're grateful for. And you'll see the grateful list at an inch and you'll see the other at a yard. And then I ask them, which one are you feeding? Which one are you
Wow.
watering? Because
I
what
like
you
that.
water will grow. And if you're feeding the misery, it's going to grow. When you feed the gratitude, you'll see how it will grow, right? But that's your choice. Which one are you going to feed? Just like your attitude, right? You saw Paris gray and dull. I can't see what anybody sees in this. You traveled around a little bit, came back, and started seeing it through a different lens. And
Yeah.
like, hang on, I know I need to be here to see the true color because the
Yes.
color that I see is the color that's inside of me, right? It's the lens that I need to see it through. And you honored yourself in doing that. And that's a lesson in itself for people. Honor your own journey. Don't, you know, go to, I mean, I'm sure you're not going back to school. You're not doing this. What do you mean you're not coming home? And, what do you mean you're marrying somebody older than you? What do you mean you're marrying a blacklister? I'm sure I can hear it all, right? But you honored your own journey, your own accountability, your own participation in your life, and your exploration of what life was about. And I think if more people step into that, they will find their own inner illumination that will
Yeah.
shine on their own path.
I agree completely. Completely. And that's why I wrote the book too,
Hmm.
to let people know that they don't have to feel less than. They don't
Yes.
have to feel they have to do what their parents taught them to do or what a spouse was
Hmm.
trying to get them to do. They should get deep inside themselves and find out what they want and help others in the process because it'll help them too. I remember once I was on an outward bound trip and they have adult invitational outward bound trips, and you had to write down something on a piece of paper for the next person. You knew who you were writing it for, and there was this one whiner. Nothing was good enough. Where's
Hmm.
my this? Why do we have to do this? So my little message to her was, there's always one sucker out there who has it worse than you. So
Yeah.
I think that shut her up for a little bit.
Yes, I remember being on a cruise and having lunch, and this woman was complaining about how she put on weight. And all the people are just looking at each other. And I said, listen, I said, well, simply stop eating so much, right? You don't have to attend every meal, right? You can measure it out. And the men looked at me and gave me a thumb up because they were,
And she
I,
must have looked at you
yeah, oh yeah,
horrified.
no, I'm afraid I've got myself into trouble a few times because, yeah, it's like you're moaning and groaning over something you have control over.
Right,
Right? If you don't
right.
like putting on the weight, then stop eating everything that's put in front of you. Right?
Exactly. It's the whole premise of my book. You too can become a badass.
Yes.
You can go from fearful to fierce and change your life. We're not stuck in the
No.
lives that we have been given and that we have somehow chosen for ourselves. We could just move on, move past them, roll by them,
Mm.
and do what fulfills us.
And then we become that invitation because inspiration becomes invitation. When you're inspired by somebody, it becomes an invitation. Maybe I'm stuck and I didn't realize it. I'm so inspired by their journey and what they've done and what they chose to overcome. Maybe it's time for me to look at my own life and what I can do to pivot, right? And that's what
Yeah,
inspiration is about, is a reflection on, hmm, there is something I can do.
exactly. And I agree.
And we can all
And
become badasses. I mean,
Yes.
that's,
Yes.
yeah, and we need more badasses right now. We need more people
Yes.
that stand up and go, look, this is who I am. I'm loving and I'm caring and I'm flawsome and I love life and I'm going to share the exuberance of what I love.
Right.
But we need to own ourselves, right? Not
Yeah.
have society own us.
Exactly. People just need a kick in the butt,
Yeah.
to become a badass, whether it's by you or by me or by reading a book and saying, yeah, I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And
but
like many people with illnesses may not get over it like you did. And I'm sure you've got your own challenges now, but don't we all? But like with my particular illness, it's one that will be with me for life, and I've learned to partner with it. It has its say, and I better listen to it, or it will flatten me. But if
right,
I honor it and give it, within the parameters, it will support me. It will allow me to do what I need to do and that I love to do. I've just got to learn to cohabit with it,
right,
right? And not let it,
right,
I am not my disease. My disease travels with me, but I am not, it doesn't define me. It's just my challenge.
right. Same with me. Same
Right,
thing. I used to have fun because back in the days, now I have what's called a pod. It's a
right.
tiny little device which you shoot insulin in and then it shoots it into your body. But back before they invented that, about 10 years ago, I would have to travel with these needles. And
Mm.
I'd be sitting with friends having dinner and I'd say, well, excuse me, I'm going to go shoot up. And they'd all be, love to get a rise out of
Oh, I
them.
can imagine how many times have you gone through the airports and they see the needles? Oh, drug
Oh, yeah.
addict. Yeah, I can
Yeah.
imagine.
I can't go through those x-ray
Yes.
things. And they say, why? I say, because I have an insulin pod. Oh, you can go through. It's not a problem. No, I can't go through. I have been told by my endocrinologist, do not go through. So you fight with them, then you wait
Yeah.
20 minutes, and they finally send someone for the pat down, which is the
Yes.
same all the time, but some are slower than others. You have to allow 25 extra minutes to get to your gate.
Or
But you know
travel
what?
with your
That's a
doctor's note. Here's the doctor's note. It's my pass.
right.
Yeah.
Small price to pay for
Yeah.
being able to get on a plane, go where you want to go,
Yeah.
and do what you want to do.
And that comes to adaptability,
Yeah,
right? And that's the thing. If
exactly.
you're not going to adapt to a situation and allow that situation to consume you, then you're never going to go anywhere or do anything. But when you learn to
Exactly.
adapt, right? And it's all about balance. It's all about boundaries. It's all about, what you can say yes to and what you can't, right? But it's knowing yourself because we really want to keep our own
Right.
equilibrium
I
safe and sound. So it's knowing ourselves.
I wish there were a way to silence that phone. I
Don't worry
just
about it.
it's always just yes, I just
So,
block
so many
them.
people may be looking at it and going, what is that? That's a land
It's
phone, folks.
I use it for interviews sometimes in case the cell phone goes bad.
Right.
I
Yes,
just
I have
find
a
it
backup
safer.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, gotta have
Yeah.
a backup.
Yeah. I have a
Or what
backup
if
phone. I never use it, but it's there if I need
in
to.
I need
Yeah.
it. What if my cell phone I left it in a taxi
My
and I
daughter
had an
does it all the
interview in
time.
20 minutes?
Yes,
So I
exactly.
need the backup.
Yeah.
All I get now is spam calls though, but it's okay. It's safer. Better safe
Yes.
than sorry with no phone.
Yes. Yes.
So
I have a girlfriend who won't answer the phone until she starts hearing the message. And then if she recognizes it, then she'll pick up the phone because she's
right.
had her number for so long, 40 years. And so the amount of spam that goes through it now. And, unfortunately, this is the world that we're in now. We're going to get
Yeah,
so much crap is being thrown at us all the time. And
I
there's only
know.
so much we can do to combat it. But, the thing is, if we, okay, just you don't answer a phone call unless you recognize who it is, right? If somebody really wants to get hold of you, they'll leave a message, right? And if they don't leave a message, then I know it's a spam and I block that number. Okay, they're going to come
Yeah,
back at me with another number. And unfortunately, this is the time consuming, pesty little thing that we have to deal with now. But it's like, don't sweat the small stuff. Just do it. Delete, 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 and get on with yourself. Right.
exactly. Exactly. I
The
agree.
badass attitude, which is it just seize the day, which is enjoy the moment, which is live for as long as you can live, right? It's not over until we finally leave this vessel. and we go home,
Right.
right? But
Well,
while we're still in this
I'm
process,
going to blues heaven.
yes, oh,
My
yes.
friend Hillary, who is a skier, is going to the powder clouds.
I love it. And I'm with you on the blues heaven. Like I just like blues music. I have another genre called For the Love of Music. And I've interviewed a lot of the older musicians that have been in the business 50
Ah,
years, 60 years, 40 years. And I call it elongating music. Oh, it just gets everything stretched out. And it's like
yes,
they're still there after all these years. And musician, guilty pleasure, because they're already in the heart and soul, right? They're already there. They're already it, which is wonderful. Yes, I'm with you on the blues heaven, absolutely. Um, but bottom line of it is you do have a gratitude attitude, all right? It doesn't matter what's being thrown at you. You've dealt with it in the moment. Okay, all of a sudden now you're having to do insulin every day, which, maybe I should have thought about that one a bit longer. But it probably would have been something would eventually had to have happened. All right.
exactly.
So now you have to shoot up, and it can be a little bit of a pain, but at the same time, you've still got life that you can live. And I
Right.
think it's just a challenge. It's just, something that travels with you, the little extra baggage, but it doesn't stop you from traveling
That's right. Exactly.
and
Exactly. I will
exploring life.
never stop traveling.
Hmm.
And even if I can't travel to, let's say, the stands, I never did get to Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan and Turkestan.
Hmm.
It's not the end of the world.
No.
I can still go downtown to New York City and see a new art museum. You
Yes.
know, you don't have to get on an aeroplane to be transported.
Right. My brother has just come back from France. He loves Biarritz. It's his favorite place. And he was in Paris. And he's turning 76 in a couple of weeks. And he was saying, like, it's getting harder to travel. It's um the cost of it, obviously, the crowdedness of it, the threats always of either terrorism or strikes, it's and it's like,
Yeah.
I've said, okay, like me now, I live on this beautiful island. I've been here 8 years, and it's only this year that I finally went to Tofino, which is kind of huge, very popular place. And I'd
Oh
never been
my
here in the
God.
45 years I've been here. So now it's time for me to
Wow.
travel, within and see more there instead of traveling out. And that's all it is adjusting the destination.
Exactly. Now, when you get to Tofino, there's a seaplane trip you could take, which drops you on top of this rocky thing, and you climb down these wooden stairs in your bathing suit. And suddenly you have, I guess, the Pacific Ocean on one
Mhm.
side and another ocean. One's hot and one's cold. And you're just lying there in the water. It's the most remarkable thing I've ever seen.
That's
And
like the Cape Horn in Cape Town. The
yeah,
Cape Horn, because I
but
lived in Cape Town, you had the two oceans and the point, and
exactly.
that's there. And I remember going there once with a bunch of orphanage children in the bus, and they went up, and there was a lot of baboons around there. They'd be kind of watching the people, and you were told just walk past them, don't engage. And somebody let the dog out of the bus. And the dog is running up the steps, and I'm seeing the baboon. So I go running down the steps,
Mhm.
pick up the dog on the way, and put it in the bus. And there's somebody, but did you put yourself in the bus? No, just the dog. Yeah. But my boyfriend at the time was washing his car in the mountain spring water. Apparently, it made it shinier. And I went for a walk up the mountain, and I passed one baboon and another baboon and another baboon. And I thought, well, there's a few of them. Maybe I should go back. As I come around the
Good
corner,
idea.
they see all these baboons around me, and they just shout, run, because there's another guy washing his car. My boyfriend gets in the car, doesn't come up to help me or anything. And I didn't run, A, asthmatic, but B, I thought that will only make them chase me. So I just walked fast and then, got in the car, because they literally can tear you from limb to limb when they come
Yeah.
together as a pack, right? It can be really, really dangerous, but nobody told me that. But that's the last thing I wanted to see that happen in front of the orphanage kids. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if you ever made it to South Africa. Um,
I did 4
uh,
times.
right to Cape Town or where?
Cape Town, the Grand Karoo, Port Elizabeth,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and 3 safaris.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a most beautiful place. It really
Oh,
is.
magnificent.
Absolutely exquisite. And I'm really glad I had my years there. I haven't gone back, but my daughter's gone twice. I'd love to take the whole family one day, but I can't see
Mm.
that happening anytime soon. But yes, and I think that's the thing is, yes, sometimes it's nice to go back and revisit things, but sometimes it's nice just to have the wonderful memory and go somewhere else.
Exactly. I agree completely.
So
Yeah.
we can travel wherever we want to travel, whether we're traveling in mind, physically, emotionally, it's all about fluidity, keeping our bodies, our minds, our hearts, our souls in a rhythm and a rhyme and fluid. Um, and looking at life from the sunny side of the street and just embracing life and seizing life. And you know, that wonderful thing when Harry met Sally, you'll have what she's having when people see people exuberant and enjoying life, it goes, wow, what are they doing? What are they doing? I want to be like that. And you never know who you're going to inspire by just being the beacon of light. So carry on being your badass self and
Thank
being
you.
that beacon of light for other people because we need desperately right now people that live in joy, that live in exuberance, that live in light, because it gives people a reason to stand up and to change things up, but also to embrace the light within them.
I hope all your readers will go out and buy Becoming a Badass from Fearful to Fierce on Amazon International Shipping as an audiobook or as a Kindle.
Did you
It's
do the
available
audio?
now. I did. I did.
Wonderful. So it's told
So
by you. Wonderful.
told by
And
me, yes.
your website, darling?
Is margiegoldsmith.com.
I'm going to spell that for the people who are listening. Margie is Margie, Goldsmith, GOLDSMITH.com. And on Facebook, you are Master of the Harmonica. And
Well,
people
that's
can,
one site, and the other site is Margie Goldsmith, so they can learn more about the book at the badass book on the on the Facebook page, which is Margie Goldsmith, and Masters of the Harmonica on the Masters of the Harmonica Facebook page, and
wonderful.
both on Instagram.
Excellent, excellent. And the whole thing is, I'm always saying to people, have a podcast party, glass of wine, listen to a podcast, take notes, and then share what each of you have got out of this. Let the conversation continue. We've started it. Now I want you to continue it. What did you get out of this? My motto is listen, learn, and apply. What did you listen to? What did you learn? How can you apply it? And start talking about it, start sharing it. Where you have a book club, let's have a podcast club, let's have them two together. But please keep the conversation going because that's how we rise up. That's how we learn. That's how we become. Not by, oh, that was very nice and not doing anything about it. That was very nice. And it's invited me to do, to go, to see, to be. And that's what we really want, that invitation that has inspired you to step up and be present in your own badass life.
Thank you so much, Gail.
It's been absolute delight having you here, my love. It really, really
It's
has.
been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And, for writing your book, for all the travels, for everything that you do, and just for being a ray of light and showing people that we can be, right? We can be. If we choose to be, we can be. So until next time, folks, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tag at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.